South Park is known for its edgy humor, and in its latest episode, they've targeted a satirical eye on Homeland Security Secretary.
South Park just leaked again, and this one's brutal. Their next target? Pam Bondi, Trump's loyal defender turned power lobbyist. The woman who called corruption justice might be getting her own cartoon punishment. After what they did to Trump, Tucker, and Kid Rock, this could be South Park's meanest hit yet. Season 27 has turned into a televised hit list, and every week, another public figure gets vaporized in HD. First, it was Trump, a satanic meme literally birthing chaos. Then Tucker Carlson, on-air meltdown as Cartman mocks his patriot panic. Next, Kid Rock, bald eagle crash, Freedom Act buried. Finally, Kristi Noem, Botox stiff, ice raids, puppy shooting scandal. It's dark, it's brutal, and it's hilarious. But here's the pattern. None of this is random. South Park's writers are stacking bodies like dominoes. Each takedown builds momentum for the next. They roast one, light it on fire, and use the ashes to ignite the next target. This isn't sketch comedy anymore. It's a demolition derby of American hypocrisy. And if you've been paying attention, one name's been hovering just off screen. Pam Bondi, the fixer, the one who made Trump's chaos look legal. The fans already feel it. She's next in line. And that feeling didn't come out of nowhere. A few days before the latest episode dropped, screenshots started floating online. A blonde woman in a courtroom surrounded by Trump imagery, a folder stamped Florida Case Files. Fans jumped on it instantly. Pam Bondi. Within hours, the images disappeared, but the screenshots were everywhere. Reddit threads, TikTok clips, even one post from the same account that leaked the Trump deepfake storyline all pointed to the same thing. South Park's next target isn't another man. It's her. Because in season 27, no one's safe. And South Park has made it clear, if you were part of the circus, they're saving you a seat right in the flames. You can call South Park a cartoon, but after 27 seasons, that's like calling a chainsaw a butter knife. This isn't random satire, it's strategy. Trey Parker and Matt Stone don't just pick names out of a hat, they study the culture like snipers. Every season has a rhythm, and this one's moving like a setup to something big. Look closer, and you'll see a pattern, the Savage Ladder. Each episode climbs higher, taking down someone slightly closer to the top of Trump's orbit. That's South Park's genius. They make chaos look accidental. But behind every punchline, there's a purpose. Their brand has always been mock everyone, sure, but lately it's evolved. They're not chasing controversy. They're exposing how absurd the powerful have become when they think nobody's watching. And they do it with precision. One-liners become indictments. Visual gags turn into social commentary. By the time the credits roll, you're laughing, and then realizing you just watched a takedown disguised as a joke. So when the leak says Pam Bondi's next, that fits the playbook perfectly. South Park doesn't just go for villains. They go for the enablers, the ones who smile while the whole circus burns behind them. And if you want proof that South Park's Savage Ladder is real, just look at how they handled Trump. That wasn't parody, that was demolition. In Sermon on the Mount, they didn't mock him with some cheap impression. They stripped away the ego, the power, and the myth until all that was left was something straight out of a nightmare. Trump sues the entire town, turns everyone into propaganda puppets, and ends up wandering the desert as a naked, deep-fake monster, complete with googly eyes where no googly eyes should ever be. Then, in the most unhinged twist of the season, he's literally in bed with Satan. And guess what? Satan's pregnant with Trump's baby. That's not random shock humor. That's symbolic storytelling. South Park just told America, this is what happens when corruption mates with power. It didn't stop there. The next episode, Walk is dead, brought Trump back again, now reborn as a demon dad. A craze over haunted dolls turns into a ritual that summons him from the underworld, and Satan proudly announces the pregnancy like it's breaking news. It's twisted, hilarious, and somehow brutally honest. That's what this season is doing so well, turning politics into myth. Trump isn't just a former president anymore. He's a creature that keeps coming back, dragging everyone who defended him into the same pit. It's biblical-level satire. And that's why the leak about Pam Bondi makes sense. Because if Trump is the monster, then she's the one holding the leash. The lawyer, the loyalist, the one who kept the show running while pretending it wasn't falling apart. South Park's already burned through the clowns. Now they're going after the people who built the circus. Once Trump was turned into a demon dad, the writers didn't slow down. They widened the blast radius. Next up were the people who kept his chaos alive on TV and in music. South Park turned its focus to the hype machine, the talking heads, the wannabe patriots, the faces of outrage. First in line was Tucker Carlson, the smug prince of panic. In the episode Got a Nut, he becomes a cartoon meltdown, wide-eyed, twitching, spinning conspiracies like a blender on fire. Cartman joins ICE just for the money. Mackey gets tangled in right-wing rants, and Tucker becomes the symbol of paranoia eating itself alive. His big moment? Selling fear like candy while South Park reveals there's nothing inside but hot air. Then came Kid Rock, the self-proclaimed outlaw patriot. His cartoon version storms in on a bald eagle, waving flags and chugging beer, only for the eagle to crash mid-entrance. What follows is pure humiliation, a Freedom Concert funeral where his whole act dies on stage. It wasn't about his music. It was about the death of credibility when fame tries to cosplay as politics. But the darkest shot came with Kristi Noem. South Park gave her the full villain treatment. Head of ice, face frozen from Botox, proudly gunning down puppies in the name of patriotism. It's twisted, yes, but that's the point. They flipped her tough cowgirl persona into cruelty with a smile. The woman who once sold strength became a cartoon of heartless power. One by one, each of these figures fell. Tucker, Kid Rock, Noam. Not just mocked, but dismantled. And if you trace the pattern, it's clear where it's heading. The closer they get to Trump's core, the smaller the circle gets. And standing right at the center of that shrinking ring is Pam Bondi. If South Park's savage ladder is real, she's not just the next rung, she's the end game. Because while the others made noise, Bondi made it all look legitimate. She wasn't waving flags or shouting on TV, she was filing the paperwork that made the circus legal. Pam Bondi built her career as the smiling face of damage control. Florida's tough attorney general turned cable pundit turned Trump defender. Always polished, always loyal, always ready with a line about justice. But under that brand of righteousness is the perfect South Park target. The person who doesn't cause chaos but cleans it up and calls it noble. The show has already burned through the loud ones. Now it's time for the quiet enabler, the one who helped wrap the scandal in legal language. Think about it. She took $25,000 from the Trump Foundation right before dropping a fraud investigation. She delayed a death row execution to attend a fundraiser. She became one of Trump's fiercest defenders during impeachment, more performer than prosecutor. That's not loyalty, that's stage management. And if there's one thing South Park loves to destroy, it's the respectable act. They never stop at the clown. They go for the person who handed the clown his makeup. Bondi is that person. She made the whole circus look legitimate while pretending it was about justice. That's why fans believe the leak. Because Bondi isn't just another face in Trump's orbit. She's the fixer who made the corruption work. And if the past few episodes proved anything, it's that South Park isn't afraid to torch the system by setting fire to the people who built it. If South Park really does pull the trigger on Bondi, you can already imagine how brutal it'll be. The writers won't hold back. They'll turn every part of her career into a running joke, one that's both hilarious and painful to watch. Picture this. The episode opens on a giant pink piggy bank labeled Charity, stuffed with cash from the Trump Foundation. Bondi struts in, smiling like justice itself, and the pig explodes. Money raining down, one bill stamped $25K donation. She catches it, tucks it into her purse, and calls it legal fees. That's South Park's kind of humor. Absurd, but rooted in something everyone remembers. Then it cuts to a clock hanging over death row, the minute hands at midnight, ready to strike. Suddenly, Bondi bursts in, glitter sash across her chest, announcing a fundraiser break. Time freezes. Balloons drop. The prisoner sighs. That's the kind of dark comedy South Park lives for, turning moral hypocrisy into slapstick tragedy. Next, the impeachment. Bondi's in a courtroom, pacing like she's in a courtroom drama. On the chalkboard behind her, just one word scribbled over and over: Biden. The jury's asleep. The judge's scrolling Instagram. Bondi smiles like she's cracked the code. It's the kind of moment South Park nails, where the joke writes itself because reality already did half the work. And finally, her new life as a lobbyist. Every time she appears, her outfit glitches. 1 second she's wearing an American flag pin. Then it flickers to a big pharma logo, then Qatar, then back again. She's not a public servant anymore. She's a walking sponsorship deal. You can almost hear Cartman yelling, "New sponsor unlocked!" That's how South Park would do it. Loud, savage, and painfully accurate. They wouldn't just mock Bondi. They'd expose the system that made her possible. The crazy part is, even Comedy Central seems nervous about where this season's going. Episodes have been delayed, promos pulled last minute. It's like the network's afraid of its own show. And that's exactly what makes South Park unstoppable. The moment someone tells them, "You can't say that," they double down and say it louder. That's why season 27 feels different. It's not just shock humor or political parody. It's rebellion. It's two guys with crayons and chaos taking on a world that's terrified of honesty. Every time the show crosses another line, it proves a point. If your power can't handle being mocked, maybe it doesn't deserve to exist. And in a time when everyone's walking on eggshells, South Park stomps through like a marching band. They mock the left, the right, celebrities, corporations, even themselves. Remember when they roasted their own bosses at Comedy Central? That wasn't filler. That was a statement. They showed us that nobody's untouchable, not even the people signing their checks. That's the energy behind the leak. It's not just about Pam Bondi. It's about what she represents, the comfortable hypocrisy that hides behind a smile and a title. South Park's never been about destroying people for sport. It's about shining a flashlight on the systems that protect them. And if the Bondi episode really is happening, it's going to be more than just another roast. It'll be a reminder that in a world built on double standards and fake heroes, laughter might be the last honest weapon we have. Because while everyone else is worried about getting canceled, South Park's still out here canceling corruption, one punchline at a time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who still thinks South Park's just a cartoon. Drop a comment below. Who do you think they'll roast next?